Everyone, Simon Rosenberg here from Hopium Chronicles. I'm really excited to have our second candidate in our series of interviews we're going to be doing with the top 12 candidates that we've gotten behind who are going to help us flip the House in November. 12 intrepid open seat and challenger races. And today we're joined by Janelle Bynum, who just won had a powerful showing in a contested Democratic primary. She came out strong with a lot of momentum, showed that she's going to be a formidable candidate in November. Janelle, welcome.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. So, listen, this discussion is really to help people around the country get to know you better, to understand the district, because the 12 we've picked are all people that if we get you the support you need and get you the volunteers and the money, you have a very, very good chance of winning.
Yep.
And we're not playing long shots here, right? You're a serious candidate. The committee's heavily behind you. So tell us a little bit about the district, your opponent, if there's any polling, how do you feel? Are you having fun? All that kind of stuff. Give us the pitch.
Well, thanks for having me, and shout out to all of the Hopium family who's helped me get this far. The fundraising has been amazing, and can't thank you guys enough. This district is a very key to us winning the House back. It has a little bit of a sliver of Portland, and then it has the beautiful Willamette Wine Valley, wine country. So if you ever wanted to visit here, shout out to
It's
the
coming.
Willamette Wine Country. And then it jumps down, it goes further down I-5, and then takes a violent jump over to Bend, one of the most beautiful areas in the state, which, you can have all types of recreation. So great place to visit if you ever wanted to door knock. I'm a prolific door knocker in my previous 4 campaigns for the state representative seat, and just a great place to live. So a little bit about me. I'm a mom of 4. I have 2 college-age kids and now 2 high schoolers who,
Wow.
if there was ever a way to keep a person humble, it's the 4 of them, right? So I feel like particularly built to run in a congressional campaign because there's pretty much nothing you can say to me, nothing you can do to me that's any more challenging than being a mom of 4. I'm also trained as an electrical engineer. I worked for General Motors doing electro-hydraulic power steering a number of years ago, and then transitioned to being a business owner with my husband. We have 4 McDonald's restaurants, so I'm a proud owner-operator. And for the last 8 years, I have been a state representative and have represented a purple district. There's no door I won't knock, no person I won't talk to. And I really found it to be very fulfilling because people just tell you what they think if you ask them. I have taco town halls because I was showing up and I was having these town halls. They were great, but I was leaving hungry. So decided to do a to decide to make a little bit of a turn. So I love a good taco. We'll always do a town hall with any part of my district, show up anytime, and I take care of my district and my constituents, and that's what I've been known for. So that's like a quick
Yeah.
overview. We're a farming and services community. The average income for the state is about 68,000. This district skews a little higher at about 80 some thousand. So it has a lot of rural population, but then it also has a very highly compensated professional sector. So just people from all across the spectrum that I'm really proud to run to represent.
How's it going? I mean, you're out now you've been talking to voters. What's on people's minds? I mean,
Yeah.
what is connecting? What do you think is going to be the thing that really drives you to victory in the conversations you're having with folks? Is there an awareness of the radicalization of the Republican Party and your opponent's connection to all that? I mean, give us a flavor of what you're feeling on the ground.
Yeah, so people are aware of, what's not happening in DC. They're aware of the chaos. And what I have shared with them is that I'm committed to clarity. So what they can expect from me is clarity, transparency. So I'm committed to housing, making sure that we get the infrastructure dollars we need, removing red tape we need removed in order to build more housing. So I had one older woman tell me that her Social Security wasn't keeping up with the rent increases. And so she was secretly hoping that her son would build a mother-in-law unit or offer her a room in his new home. And so that to me was like, okay. And then on the flip side, what my daughter that just graduated college was looking, she wants to be a dentist, and she was looking at going to school in Boston. And we were looking at apartments. A studio apartment is $3,000 a month,
Well,
right? So when you think about like who gets to participate in the economy, who has access to housing, that's what people are telling me. Another part of the district, in Redmond, they told me it was neither the place to have a baby nor have a mental breakdown because they did not have the facilities or the providers to deal with that. And so when you think about, again, who gets to live a full life, some of us, get access to health care. There are no food deserts in our neighborhoods. But then others, we have a dearth of healthcare providers, and we have, we're starting to see challenges with like private equity in the healthcare settings. So that, those are the things that people care about. It's also a district that has a lot of trees, just to put it very simply. And we've been affected by wildfires. Our family actually escaped the wildfires a few years ago, and that has been something that families have been dealing with. I know on the East Coast, you guys got a little taste of it, and everybody was like, whoa.
yeah.
But we've been dealing with it for a while here.
Well, and the president has actually been very aggressive in trying to provide more support for the West
Mhm.
broadly with in combating the fires and also recovering
Yeah,
swiftly. I mean, I think this has been a
yeah.
major emphasis of Biden so far. It's not that well known here on the East Coast, but it's been something they've been very proud of. They've been very forward leaning in that, and so tell. It's interesting, I do think that one of the things I'm hearing from your colleagues when I talk
Mhm.
to them is about how central these quality of life issues are, right?
Oh,
The
for sure.
issues of commuting and housing,
Yeah.
access to health care, right? Because in part, there are a lot of jobs, there are a lot of jobs around, but it's a question of just can we live better and live
Mm.
more fulfilled lives and live healthier lives? And it sounds like that's really what you're hearing from your voters, which, your constituents, which is they want, things are good, but they want them to be better and to live a better, to have you as a partner in helping them live better lives, it sounds like.
Yeah, so for the last few years, I've been the chair of the Small Business and Economic Development Committee in the legislature. And I didn't know this, but as I was leaving, it turns out that there were more people asking to replace me with that seat than any other committee, right? So what I tried to share with people is that A, we can have nice things. We should be aspiring to a higher quality of life. And as Democrats, part of our messaging and core to our messaging should be that you can live better. There's socioeconomic mobility. We're invested in strong and healthy communities. We want to make sure that our kids can look forward to a life better than what we had. And that is central, I believe, to the message that we have to deliver this November. And so what I've tried to do, Oregon is one of the hubs in the country for the semiconductor industry, and we got beaten a little bit by Ohio. I'm a Michigan Wolverine, so anytime you say Ohio, I'm like, those are fighting words, right? Because they're like the Ohio State. Anyway, and now we're in like the Big Ten, so we are ready to, sorry, the Ducks.
Yeah.
We're ready to beat up on Ohio State. I think it's October 8th.
Good
But
luck.
anyway,
Good luck.
but we lost this mega plant, this semiconductor facility to Ohio. And everybody was kind of looking around like, yeah, what should we do? And I'm like, no, we fight back because these are jobs that our kids should look forward to. They're good paying jobs from, even being able to work them in high school, whether you're in semiconductor manufacturing or you're helping to build the plants. These types of investments are what communities need, especially communities that have to transition from natural resource communities, right? So, so I led the work on the Oregon CHIPS Act, and it was a bipartisan effort, but really the fringes of both parties, they could have been kind of sticks in the mud, but but here was the value proposition. Number one, good paying jobs for our kids. Number two, you didn't necessarily need a degree to work in the industry, but you could, and there was something for everybody. And then three, we wanted to make sure that this was an investment for the long term, right? So not just like short-term jolts into the economy. We're talking a $250, $300 million investment for the state, which is significant. We're not like a big mega state, but that is going to translate, is projected to translate into $43 billion worth of economic investment. And I think Democrats should be able to talk about economic investments that are paying off for Oregon families, for American families, that make sure that their lives are better than they were 20 years ago. And if you can't deliver on that, I feel like you should get out of business. That's what I'm here for. That's why people trust me, and that's why I've been successful over the last 8 years, running in a purple seat, delivering for my communities.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we have so much to run on, actually,
Oh, yeah.
because even though Biden, is not getting the credit that he deserves, I think, for much of what he's done. I mean, the truth is, we have the best job market now today since the 1960s. We have the lowest
Mhm,
uninsured rate ever in American history. We've seen a small business boom, something that you
mhm,
really understand. I mean, the Economist just had a cover story on, the startup boom in America. We're producing twice as many new businesses every month
mhm,
than historically has been the average, right? Every single month. And over time, that's really going to matter for the vitality of
mhm.
the American economy. We have so much to be able to point to be able to say that if you elect you, give us 4 more years, that we're going to be getting more of these kinds of investments, these kinds of intelligent decisions that government can make our lives better. I think we do have a lot we can take to the American people in this election.
Absolutely. I think it's a matter of like how it feels, right? So is there
Yeah.
a sense of optimism? So as my daughter was applying to dental school, I can tell you, so, my husband and I both went to college, and it was still hard. That feeling of trying to figure out what's going to happen next, right? And so, what I think is that when we can communicate how much hope there is, how much opportunity there is. And so, the central theme has always been for me bridging talent with opportunity. So I'll tell you a short story here. My mother was the class valedictorian in her small rural high school in Conway, South Carolina. It was the last year, so she graduated in 1970. She got a letter in 1968 or so, asking her parents which school did she want to go to. Did she want to go to the integrated high school, or did she want to complete at the Negro school? She went to the integrated high school for a day, was like, yeah, I'm not ready. They don't seem to be ready. So I'm going to finish at the Negro high school. And she rode in with the science teacher every day. They weren't providing bus transportation to the Negro high school. You had to figure that out. But when she graduated, there was nothing available to her. She went downtown, she couldn't get a job. She talked to my grandfather, who talked to his employer, and his employer said she should go down to the local community college, apply for financial aid, and whatever they didn't give her, he would back up. And to think that a valedictorian who wanted to be an accountant did not have any options ready and available and waiting for her to pursue, that to me is a challenge. That's a challenge still today for Black and brown kids, for poor kids, for rural kids. And so unless we tell these stories, and unless we make it very plain that if you put in the hard work, there's something there for you. And that is, I think, what I continue to tell my daughter, like, just keep putting the shovel down, keep working. There are opportunities available. But I also, I was really concerned that if there were kids that didn't have parents like me, who could sit at their desk and help, review her essays and things like that from 11 to 12 when I was on the floor and trying to listen during debate. And, that was a time I could be available. But if they didn't have that kind of help, I felt like the community needed to step in and make those opportunities available. Again, bridging talent with opportunity. That's what I think this country should be looking forward to in November.
Amen. Amen to that. Listen, tell us about if people give you money and if they
Yeah,
want to volunteer,
yeah,
tell us about your campaign. I know that you just had a primary, right? So unlike the other 11 candidates that we're
yeah,
backing, you're really starting from scratch, right? I mean, you're financially behind many of your
yes,
colleagues because you just had this primary just a few weeks ago, right? So give us
yes.
a state of the campaign.
State of the
How
campaign.
can people volunteer and help you? Where does the money go? And also tell us a little bit about your opponent in the state of the race, if you'd be willing to do that.
So I'll start at the end of that. So even in the primary, the Republicans started to put money towards my Democratic opponent. They did not want to see me coming. And I'll tell you why. Number one, because I deliver. But number two, I delivered two defeats to them. In 2016 and 2018, I beat the Republican candidate for the State House district, who is now the Republican incumbent in CD5. I beat Lori Chavez DeRemer not once, but twice, and I'm ready to do it a third time. They are already scared. So they put in 500,000 in my primary. Today, they're out talking blah, 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 blah. Yin yang, for lack of a better word, they're already at it because they did not want to see me coming. In terms of what the campaign looks like, I am a prolific door knocker. In fact, in 2018, I was caught red-handed canvassing my neighborhood, and that made national news. That, I was the sitting representative and the police got called on me. So I believe in meeting voters where they are, knocking the heck out of doors. So anybody that wants to come to CD5, you can, come, knock a few doors, knock a packet, and then enjoy some wine or anything else we've got, or the Deschutes River. That's one piece of it. We are also making sure that we phone bank, text bank, so you can do that from any part of the country. And that I think is, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm an electrical engineer by training. And so like innovation and how can we use technology to advance our goals? I love the fact that we can phone bank from anywhere, we can text bank from anywhere. And what I try to point out to people is that there are only about 65 or so competitive seats out of the 435. And so there are those of us who run, and then there are those of us who knock or, volunteer. And then there are those of us who, like maybe me with the PTA, we donate. So JanelleBynum.com is our website where you can go and check out anything about me. And we are poised to employ our neighborhood leader program. I am, I'm a top-down person when it comes to making sure that my staff understands what my values are. And my values are meeting my voters. We don't sit in an ivory tower. We get out, we knock, we talk with people, and we understand what the issues on the ground are. Last point here. I knocked so much and I had such a strong field campaign that when Lori Chavez DeRemer ran against me the second time, you know what her commercials look like? Her going door to door knocking, knocking, knocking.
Well, I think you're going to have the Hopium audience we're a community of doers. And excuse me, our phrase that we have is that we do more and worry less, and which is
Right,
really important these days, right? So
right.
many of the people who'll be watching this are people who can make calls for you,
Mm-hmm.
can text, can maybe come visit, because we have a lot of Californians and people from Washington
Okay.
State and other places. But this is a community of doers, and they're going to love your message about how you win your elections, because that's how we know we've been winning elections all across the country these last couple of years. We haven't been winning because they're terrible. We've been winning because we've out hustled and outworked Republicans
Mm-hmm.
again and again and again. And we're going to do it this time as well. And it's great to know that we're going to have such an important partner in this fight
Mm-hmm.
with you, because I love your message about how you win, because it is how we win. It's how we have been winning, and it's how we're going to win this November.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you. Listen, I just want to say, as somebody who's been doing this a long time, running for office is really hard. It takes an enormous amount of courage. It takes a thick skin, right? It takes
Yep.
you managing somehow being a small business owner, an entrepreneur, a mom, a legislator, all the things you do. This is hard stuff. And so just as a fellow American, thank you for what you're doing. I mean, you're showing immense courage and patriotism for for stepping up at this critical moment in our
Yeah.
history. And I hope that the Hopium community has already rallied for you, but we still have more we need to do for her because we got to win this race. I hope you were as impressed with Janelle as I was today. This is a critical race. We can win here. We got a great candidate with a strong argument. She's building an amazing team. So I hope that everyone who's watching today chips in whatever way you can to make sure that we win this critical race. And so, Janelle, any final closing thoughts before we go?
Well, everybody's welcome on Team Bynum. JanelleBynum.com is my website, and we're bridging talent with opportunity, and faith without works is useless. So let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Thank you so much. And here we talk about hopium, but for us, hopium is hope with a plan. We just don't hope the election's going to turn out well. We do the work to make it so. So you sound like a spiritual kin of our work here. It's been great to meet you today. I really look forward to helping you win this thing in November. Thanks,
All right, let's
everybody.
go.
Take care, Janelle. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.